Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to do another flower in the wildflower range. This time I'm going to do a wild violet. They do come in various different colours, so it's always a good idea to look these things up if you don't have any. But apparently it's a spring flower, which is where the violets that we buy from the garden centres originated from. Like most plants, is a wild version out of it that somewhere out there that hasn't been tampered with. So I'll take you down to my board anyway. Right, so what I'm going to have to do, because I don't have a cutter for this because they're quite narrow petals, what I've done is I've got a small rose petal cutter and I've squashed it to make it narrower. There are some rose petal cutters you can get out there that are narrow like this. If you can get hold of one of those, that's fine. If not, if you've got a spare cutter, which I tend to have a lot of different cutters anyway, that's what I've used for that. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to do this backwards way around, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the calyx first to attach the petals to. I've got some here that I've made up, that I've coloured. So what I'm going to do first of all is get some stamens. Now the stamens are quite bulky in the cultivated varieties, and I didn't particularly like them, so I'm using really fine stamens so I can keep it looking a bit neater. So I've got 3 stamens there, and if you just get those, get them all level. Some of these don't have very good ends on them, but it doesn't really matter. And then fold it in half like that. It doesn't matter if they're not all exactly the same. Sometimes they look a bit better when you're doing flowers if you don't get them all too uniform, because it can look a bit flat, for want of a better way of putting it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get some light green tape, and I've got it stuck underneath all my bits and pieces, and I've done my usual trick of dropping one of my tools on the floor. So there's 2 ways you can do it. You can either start on your wire or you can start on your stamens. So I'm going to start the tape off on the stamens. I don't want too much of it showing. I've only got probably about 1/4 of an inch if that showing there. Start your tape off, and then if you get your 26 gauge wire, I've got a wire here somewhere when I find one. Got lots of bits and pieces knocking about here. I'm trying to use up some of my spare pieces. No, that's a bit too soft, is that? Is that one? Nope. I'll have to cut one. Ooh. Just knock something down. Right. You don't need long wires for these because they're not very big plants. So 1/4 of a wire will do for this. Like I keep saying, some people that demonstrate use longer wires and then they're cutting bits off and wasting wires. We can't all afford to do that, so I try and keep it so that we're doing things that are less wasteful, for want of a better way of putting it. So I'll cut that in half. I'll need some anyway because I'm going to do a bud on one of these as well. And just pop those into some foam up there. And then if you just get your wire and pop that into your tape so it's just below the tape itself there, and then continue to tape down. Stretch your tape and roll with your other hand, depending on whether you're left-handed or right-handed. I'm right-handed, so I curl with my left hand. Right, so that's done. Then what you want then is some green paste. I have got some knocking about here somewhere. We've got some in there. Now you need a small calyx cutter for this, which I have got one here somewhere when I find where I've put it. I've just knocked everything around, so everything that was within eyesight has disappeared. Where's it gone? It's very sunny here today, and it's blinding me on one side, so I can't see what I'm looking for. Oh, there it is. You need a very small calyx for this because they're only small flowers. So if you start off with your ball of paste, and then start with your first fingers and your thumbs and go around it to flatten it out. We're making the Mexican hat back method for this. Now that needs to be a little bit longer, so I'm just going to pinch that up, the nipple part in the middle, just to make that a little bit bigger. We can straighten that out when we start rolling it out. So onto your board, and then you need a small cell pin and just roll out from the side of your pimple there. Just spread that out. And what you need to do at some point is to check your cutter over it to make sure that that fits before you go any further. It's more or less right, is that? Just take a little bit more off there. If you just squash it down and then roll it out. Then get your cutter, pop that over and cut that out. Take that paste away. I should have one drying so there it is, yeah. I've left one to dry because I want this to dry before I do anything else at it. So what I'm going to do is put your wire into the centre of that, like that. Bring that right up to the base of your stamens, and then just roll it at the back onto your wire, so you get the back part there. Then that needs to go to one side to dry. Now what you can do is, if you want your flowers to be a little bit more closed, is bring your calyx up like that and then dry it upside down in some foam. So I'll just pop that in there at the side, and I've got one here that I did earlier that's already dried. It's not completely dried, there's a little bit of movement in that yet. So I'm just going to pop that to one side now. And before I go any further, what I'll do is I'll make the leaves for this flower. While I've got the green out, we might as well do it all in one go. I'm just looking for my veiner. I haven't got a heart-shaped vein. I couldn't find the heart-shaped veins, but if you have got a heart-shaped cutter, if you've got a heart-shaped cutter, you can use that. But I used a rose cutter. Most people have probably got them because everybody starts off with roses. So we're going to start off with that. And I knocked something down earlier, so I'm just wondering if I've knocked my veiner down here, because I can't see it on there. No. If I can find where I've put it. I'm just going to go off for a second and I'll come back when I've found where I've put my veiner. I found it. It was right under my nose when I found it. I just sent off for this because it was a veiner that I didn't have for a violet leaf. So I found this one on eBay. It's by a firm called Diamond Paste Molds. So if you've got a Sugarcraft shop that sells Diamond Paste Molds, then they should have this in. If not, you can have a look on eBay because there's quite a lot of firms on there that are selling veiners and cutters these days. Just be careful when you're buying them that you get a decent one. So I'm just going to roll some green paste. I'm only going to do one leaf here. Then I'm going to get my, oh, there it is, ridge rolling pin. Go up the centre of that. this sun is blinding me. It's very difficult to see what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to get the rose petal cutter and cut out one leaf like that. Now, as you can see by the vein that it's done in the shape of the actual flower, you can see it's more or less a heart-shaped bottom. It's a bit more rounded at the bottom than this is, but that doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the pointed end of the cutter, just to take a little piece out of the top there, like that. Mix that in with my other paste, and then to finish it off, to make it more rounded, I'm going to get my cutting wheel in, and I'm just going to bring that round like that to take that off, to make it a bit more rounded, like that. So then you've got your sort of semi-heart shape, and then you want there's one there. You want a 28 gauge wire. Just move that out of the way. And the wire is going to go into this end where your curve is there. So get that up your leaf like that. Then we need to go onto your board. Just move that out of the way for the minute. And then go around your edges. I'm rolling around the edge because I'm using the paste that I used in the last video, which doesn't respond very well to pulling your ball tool around the edge. You can round the bottom off a little bit more as well if you do it this way, when you're thinning your edges, by rolling it round like that. Get rid of that. And then have a look at your veiner to see which has got the ridge and which has got this one's got the groove in it, and that's got the ridge on that side. So your ridge goes down into your groove like that. Bring the veiner over and give it a good press. Like that. Then we can take that out of there. So that's the leaf done. So what I'm going to do now is, if I bring my foam over, I have got some that have already been drying here. I'll just move those out of the way. Get your leaf and put it into the hollow there, so it just shapes it a bit, so it's not dead flat. They are quite flat in reality, but like I said before, in sugar, if you're doing leaves and things like that, you have to give them a bit of movement, otherwise they just don't look lifelike. So you can see that one's dry. You see how that's dried there. I've already coloured this one as well. So I'm just going to leave that to one side now. Get rid of the green paste. Now I want some white paste. Now, although violets are a lilac-y colour, I start off with the white paste because they are a little bit white down at the bottom of the petals. So I'm just going to... I was using my paste earlier on there, so I've got powder colour out and I don't want it to get onto my board, so I'm just going to wipe that top part to get rid of that. We've got some colour that's spilt onto there, so we'll get rid of that. Right, so we'll roll some white paste out quite thinly. Need a bit of white fat on there because it's dried up from earlier. We'll just put a bit of white fat on it. Holds helps to keep your paste on the board so you can roll it out much thinner. There we are, that's better. Now you need to get this quite thin. And then you want, where's my cutter gone? Lost my squash cutter. It should be there somewhere at the side. Right, I'll come back in a sec when I find it. Found it. It was right at the side of me, as they usually are. This, I'm putting it down to my age anyway. As we get old, we get very forgetful. So I'm going to cut out 5 petals. Thank goodness the sun's just gone in. Take the paste away. There we are. Put that away. And then I need to get those onto my pad. Put that with my calyx and I know where that is. And thin the edges. So I'm using a small ball tool here to go around the edges with these. Now with the first lot of petals, you've seen me use the silk veining tool before. I did all the petals that way, and then when I was inspecting a picture of the flowers before I coloured them, I realised that the veining on it is very similar to a rose petal. So I tried one, and yes, the rose petal veiner works to vein these. So if you get your petal, put it up into the top of your rose petal veiner, and vein each of your petals with that. Being so small, they're a bit difficult to get hold of, especially if you've got big chunky fingers like me. So if you have a look at your veining in your veiner just to see where the how the detail will fall on the petals. If you can manage to see pictures on the internet, there's plenty of places you can do. If you just put up pictures of wild violets in, you can find photographers put pictures on there, and you can study, because we can't always get hold of the real thing in order to study the flower itself. But there are always pictures about that you can use. I always forget this, but don't forget, people, to subscribe to the channel and give me a like if you like what I'm doing, and if you've got any comments about anything that you'd like to see or any questions you want to ask, leave them in the comments below. Right, we'll just get rid of those out of the way. Right, so I'm going to get my dried calyx there. So this one's already more or less dried. So you want your glue. I haven't quite got all my petals right on the ones that I've done, but I'm going to try and get them right on this so you see how they go. So you've got 5 petals. So if you put glue on all of your points of your calyx here, like that. Now you've got 2 petals that come sort of fairly close together up at the top, so you put one in, 2 there, fairly close together. And then if you put your other three petals, sorry, bringing your point right up to the centre, up to your things. If I put one in each side first, like that, so they're on the centre of the calyx, and then put your last one in the middle, so they're forming sort of like a fan. I think I've covered my stamens up a bit there, like that. So you've got two up close together and then three forming a fan at the bottom, like that. So then the best way I found to dry them is to start them off by drying them by putting them upside down on some foam like that, and leave them to stiffen up. So I'm just going to, if I can find a piece of foam somewhere, it'll go on here. I'll put it on my pad, put them on there to dry. Then when they've started drying a little bit, then you can curve your petals up to get a bit more shape into it. Don't leave them until they're fully dry. With that, right, now then, the colouring bit. I haven't left myself one to colour for this one, so I'm going to have to sort of go over it without actually dusting it. So the colour that I'm using for this is one from Edible Art. Where has it gone? There it is. Which is actually called Violet. Now, they do come in various different shades, from sort of more bluey, lighter colours through to a deep purple. The cultivated varieties do tend to be quite dark, but there are a lot of different colours in if you look around. But the wild ones seem to be sort of a little bit lighter, on the lighter side. There won't be as many different variations in those. So we need some kitchen roll. And then I use quite a wide brush to get some of the violet on my brush like that. And then you start off from the top and brush inwards like this, all the way around. And then on the back I'll do it sideways down, so I'm just going either side of the calyx like that. But I've left that little bit of white down at the bottom there, which they have on the wild ones. The cultivated ones can be, they don't have the white bit at the bottom on a lot of them that I can remember. I used to have one and it didn't have any on. The next thing that I've done is then I've got some deep yellow. This one's called Sunflower. If you can find a make that says Sunflower on it, it'll probably be this sort of shade. And I've got a very small brush, so some of that onto there, and then just catch the tops of the stamens like that. Now the only thing that I haven't done on this one that I had done on the other ones was to do the markings on it. Yes, I have, it's there but you can't see it. So I want a very fine brush. Now I'm not very good at painting. I never get straight lines on things. Let's have a look at that one. Oh, that's a very fine one, that'll do. So I shall try my best to get a decent line on this. I'm just trying to find my lid with the colour in it. Just get rid of that yellow one. We don't need that. And find what I've done with my lid, which is probably hiding underneath there somewhere. Put my Verna back in the bag over there. And I've lost my lid. Right, so I'm just going to do this on my board. I'll have to clean this. I won't recommend doing this, but because I usually do it in the lid so that I can get some of the colour like that. With a very fine brush, if you get it on one side, get something to rest on, and then just paint some lines in, just on one petal this. I don't know whether you can see that or not, but I have got some fine lines in there. And then if you turn it over, and then on the back, again I'm using quite a small brush, and the colour that I've used for the back is called Rainforest, which is a fairly dark green. So I'll get a little bit of that on my brush, and then dusting sideways, just bring it down from the hip onto the points of your calyx, like that. So that's the back of it done. We'll just pop that down there. That's the green one off that. I need that out because I've also got a leaf to do now. Because I haven't left the leaf to dust, I'm going to do the one that I've just made, which is still quite soft, but I can reshape that once I've done it. So I need a bit more green on there, and then dust all over with the same green. Sometimes the colour comes up better if they're not totally dry as well. They do take the colour quite well. Now the only thing I'm not going to do on this, which I usually do on a lot of the leaves, is to dust the back, because they are quite light on the back of violet leaves. So I'll just reshape that and put that back into the foam. So I've reshaped that. Now, unlike a lot of leaves, I'm not going to varnish the leaves on these because they're quite a matte finish on the leaves. So what I would do with this is, when I've put all the flowers together and the leaves and everything, I'm just going to steam them to set the colours, and then we'll just get rid of that out of the way. So if I get all my flowers out, now I've also made some buds as well. Just do that. I forgot to do one. And I need that back again because I need to... No, wrong one. Get a new piece. I forgot to colour the buds. I'm getting ahead of myself here. I thought I was doing really well here, trying to do a shorter video. I need that brush, and I need the purple one that I've used for the... wherever it's gone. Lost my purple one. So what? I've got some buds here that I've already made. I've just made small buds. They don't need to be very big. Just tiny like that. And what I'm going to do is... where's my green gone? There. These are probably still quite soft because I only did them not long before I started filming. But buds are a bit easier to do because, unlike flowers, the petals don't move around. So I'm just going to dust from the base of the buds upwards, like that. Leaving a little bit at the top for a bit of colour. There weren't any buds in the picture that I saw. It was just the flowers and the leaves, but I thought it'd be nice just to put some buds in between. So if you make a little posy of these, I've got a wedding cake later on this year that's having these on along with other things, and I'm just going to do a posy in the middle of the violets all together with the leaves around them. It'd make a nice cake topper for a small cake. Right, so we've done that. So I need my purple brush. There it is, right under my nose, like they usually are when I can't find things. A little bit of purple on there, and then just catch the tops of the buds like that. Just talk amongst yourself while I'm doing this. There we are. That's the buds done. Get rid of that. Bring that back over there, and I've got another couple of flowers here. I've done about 5 flowers in it. I always do odd numbers when I'm doing things like this. Get rid of that paste, we don't need that. So, what I need to do first of all, I'm just going to tape part way down these buds because these are on white wires, so they match up with everything else. I'm just going to tape down a bit so that when I put them into the spray they all look the same. Push that up. You don't need to tape right down because you're not going to see it all. It's going to be covered over. Just nip it in. Roll with the other hand, push it up and tape down. Some people find it a bit difficult doing this, but once you get used to doing it, once you get into the swing of it, it's very easy to do. And like I said before, we've all had to start there at some point in time. We weren't born sugar crafters, we've been taught how to do it. So irrespective of how professional somebody looks when they're doing it, like yourselves, they've had to start somewhere as well. May not agree with some of my methods, everybody's got their own ways of doing things. But as you go along, once you get used to doing it, you find ways of doing things yourself, whatever makes it easy for you. There we are. So those have all been taped part way down. I'm just going to get rid of that tape and I'm going to get some fresh tape. Tape these together and I find my roll. There it is. I'm using half width tape for all of this. I try not to use full width tape unless it's a big spray. If it's a big spray then you need full width tape, but it makes your stems a lot thicker if you're using full width tape, if that makes sense. Right, put some of that over there. Right, I'm just going to tilt my camera up a bit this way so you can see when I'm putting all this together how it's going to fall into place. Now then, the flowers on violets tend to bend up this way and then back down this way, so they grow like that on the wires, if you can see that. But I'm going to tilt these a little bit further up. I could do with my, there they are. Just dropped if you've got a pair of fine pliers, if we've just straightened that out and we'll start again. So if you bend your wire up and then back down that way. So you've got a little bend on the back. But just straighten that up. So they go like that off to one side. So if I just do that with all of the flowers. So if we bend it up and then bend that back down like that. Should make sure I've got my flowers the right way up on, shouldn't I? There we are, it's that way. Hang on. Up. And then back down that way. The lines go down to the bottom on the petal, you've got that on. Go up that way and then bend back down that way. Bit like the back of a pansy. If you look at the back of a pansy, they're the same as well if you're doing them wired. That wants to come in a bit more that way. Here we are. Right, so that's those done. The buds, leave them straight, they'll bend over as they open up. So if we start off by getting the flowers into a spray, so I'm just going to bend that up a little bit that way so that I can get my flowers in without breaking them. Bring that one up. I can bend them back down again when I've got them all in. I went off camera a bit there. Sometimes when I'm concentrating I come towards myself, but if I'm not watching the camera I can't see what I'm doing there. So as long as the flowers are tilting out, just tilt that up a little bit and bring those back down when I've got them all in. And the last one. Like that. So I've got those going round, and then what I'm going to do then is I'm going to slot the buds in between. And I've done 5 buds to go in this spray as well. You can do as many as you want in, it's up to you, it's your flower. Bring that flower up a little bit. And I can adjust these once I've got them into the spray. I can spray them out a little bit. And then that. Now where have I missed one? In there. Oops. Right, so I'm just going to tape down with that now, so that they stay put. Right, I can bring those flowers back down a bit now, back to where they should be. Spread the buds out a little bit. As I say, you could put more buds in there if you wanted to. Then I'm going to start my tape off a little bit lower down. And I'm going to frame the flowers now with the leaves. So if I get the leaves over here, 3, 4, should be another one somewhere. There we are, 5. I'm going to leave a little bit of a wire on it so that the leaves come out underneath the flowers so you can see them. So if I go too far in, you won't be able to see the leaves. It's like any spray, you need something to go in the background. That's what the leaves are used for when you're doing any kind of spray. Like I said before, if you go to a florist, they always put some greenery in just to frame the flowers they've done in the arrangement. I'm just going to switch my steamer on while I'm doing this, and we'll do the whole thing. Sometimes I forget to steam the flowers until after I've gone off camera, so I'm going to do it on camera today because it's not quite as long a video as normal. And then we tape down. Once you've taped it down and got it all together, then you can adjust your flowers and your leaves. Oops, let's come out a little bit. To go back in. There we are. So those are the flowers. So I'm just going to get my steamer now and I'm going to go into the steam. And just twist round. There we are. And once you've steamed them, then that will set the colour so that it doesn't rub off. So there we are, that's my spray of violets. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and like I said before, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if there's any questions you've got about anything or anything you'd like to see me do, then leave it in the comments down below and give us a like, and hope to see you in the next video. So take care, stay safe, see you soon.